Coming up, still no signs of life at the site of a building collapse in Martin County.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Martin County is under a state of emergency right now after a man died in a building collapse at an idled coal prep plant. Another man remains missing. The two workers were inside clearing out equipment when it collapsed late yesterday. Crews from around the state have rushed in to help and try to locate that trapped worker. Grayson Passmore begins our coverage.
At 6:30 Tuesday night, tragedy struck the Martin County community.
And it's unlike something I've never seen. You know, the candle factory in Mayfield was similar, but this is just unlike something I've ever witnessed.
One man is dead and another trapped under rubble after an abandoned 11-story coal mine building that was set for demolition collapsed.
130 feet high with concrete structures on each floor. So a tremendous amount of weight, tremendous amount of force, tremendous pile of rubble there now.
Officials say workers were inside the Martin mine prep plant trying to secure some equipment before they can begin to find out why and how the building fell. The rescue team still has one man to find.
Those rescuers' lives are in danger as we speak. They're going into a very unstable structure and they're in efforts to save lives. And so, you know, they're going to risk a lot to gain a lot.
An idle plant is one that is no longer in use, and this plant closed a decade ago. Dismantling idle coal prep facilities is nothing new, but coal mining experts say a disaster like this one is rare.
I've never heard of anybody in my lifetime being hurt on the demolition side of a coal facility.
As professor of mining engineering at UK, Dr. Rick Honaker explains most injuries occur when a mining facility is active, not when it's being torn down.
It's part of the demolition process to restore the land back to its original place. What happened in this case, it's who knows.
But right now, the only question those in Eastern Kentucky want answered is when they'll be able to bring their men home.
Yes, this community will take a lot of time for them to get over this, and they never will get over it. It'll just be there.
In Martin County, Grayson Passmore, WKYT.
The names of those workers have not been released. Another news conference is expected tomorrow morning. Martin County officials tell us that anyone who wants to deliver food or supplies to first responders can drop those items off at Buck Branch United Baptist Church. And we are learning more information tonight about this coal preparation plant. The Excel Pontiki coal preparation plant is the site of the former Pontiki coal mine. Kentucky Energy and Environment Cabinet spokesperson John Mura told the Kentucky Lantern that Alliance Resource Partners closed the prep plant in 2013, 10 years ago. It was then permitted to Lexington Coal Company, which is based in West Virginia. The company contracted with Skeens Enterprises, which is based in Pike County, for site demolition and salvage operations. As many of you know, the number of coal mines in Kentucky is on the decline. We fact-checked the number of licensed mines with the state's Division of Mine Safety. In 2008, there were 625 licensed mines, including the one in Martin County. In 2023, there are just 129 in the state.
We are tracking some cold weather as we go into tonight, but some improvements are on the way, all thanks to an area of high pressure. But tonight we are cold. Those temperatures in the upper 20s and lower 30s, up to 35 in Jackson, 29 for Manchester, 24 over in Clintwood. So we are cold at this hour, and more cold weather is on the way as we go into tonight. Up on the radar again, we are dry, also clear, all thanks to that upper level ridge and that area of high pressure that is parked over the region right now. So again, we stay dry dry as we go into tonight, and that clear sky is going to allow those temperatures to tumble into the middle and upper 20s once again. So we stay cold, watching out for a hard freeze as you wake up on Thursday. So again, don't forget to bring in those pets and plants and also protect your pipes as we go into tonight. If you're heading up to a jog in the morning, be sure to bundle up early in the morning because those temperatures will be below freezing. But a nice warm up is on the way, back to the 60s by Friday, also into this weekend. All those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Cameron, thank you. Deputies captured a Laurel County burglary suspect that was considered armed and dangerous. 39-year-old William D. Reagan went missing this morning in the area of Slate Ridge Road, about 2 miles east of London. Later, deputies say Reagan had a machete on him when he broke into a home off Spring Cut Road near Rocky Branch Road. He was arrested in Knox County tonight off Kentucky 830 on Hazel Fork Road. He was charged with burglary and taken to the Laurel County Detention Center. The victim in the October 17th Mount Vernon shooting on Interstate 75 is sharing her story today. Erica Ponder was driving down the interstate when she says she was shot. She didn't know she was shot at first until she looked down and noticed the wound. She talked with us today about what she remembers.
So just riding on the highway, listening to music, and I just heard a boom. So I thought I hit something. Really hard to answer because I don't know, especially not being from Kentucky, and then it just happens out of nowhere.
Ponder says she doesn't know why she was shot. Police are still investigating. If you have any information that can help, contact the Rockcastle County Sheriff's Department. Also in Rockcastle County, a golden alert was issued for a missing man tonight. 59-year-old William Ayers of Broadhead was last seen this morning near his home on Jones Lane Extender. He reportedly has a developmental disability. If you have any information, you should call the Rockcastle County Sheriff's Office at 606-256-2121. Every Halloween, law enforcement warns parents to check their children's candy after trick-or-treating. That advice came in handy last night in Bath County. A family says they found several pills in their children's candy, which turned out to be muscle relaxers. They called police, who say this is the only incident they've had reported to them, but police tell us this situation could have been even more dangerous than it already was.
When it comes to like medication, you don't know if it's laced with, fentanyl, or it could have something else bad in it.
The family who discovered the medication did not want to talk on camera, but do want other parents to be aware. The Kentucky Department of Education uses test scores from all of the schools in the Commonwealth to rate them 1 to 5. A total of 20 schools in eastern and southern Kentucky made it in the top 10 best and worst for elementary, middle, and high schools across the state. WYMT's Madison Carmouche has more from a couple of top 10 schools in the region.
Kaywood Elementary and Burning Springs Elementary are just 2 of the 14 Eastern Kentucky schools that made top 10 list after KDE's school report card data.
Now, when I looked at that list myself, I noticed the same thing. And I said, sometimes being from southeastern Kentucky and even eastern Kentucky, we do get a bad route. But these are the best students ever.
Both principals agreed that the schooling students missed during COVID-19 was motivation to implement new programs.
With COVID, we knew that a lot of kids missed out on whole grade levels because they were home doing lessons by computer, Zoom, or however we could get them in during COVID.
Kaywood Elementary in Harlan County is kindergarten through 8th grade and ranked number 3 in the elementary school top 10 and was number 1 in the middle school top 10.
Last year, we started a new pilot program in the district. Us and another school, Ross Point Elementary, started a Lexia Core 5 and Lexia Power Up. It's a reading and grammar language arts program that starts kids where they are, because we knew the need with COVID was that they were behind, especially our primary students.
Burning Springs Elementary School in Clay County ranked 4th, and their principal says this is not something they accomplished overnight.
So it was time for academics to shine just as well. So we just decided, that's it. We're not going to be at the bottom. We put in some new programs. Like I said, we have great support from our district staff, our superintendent, and these teachers here are just remarkable.
Both schools celebrated their students' hard work and accomplishments with an assembly. Madison Carmouche, WYMT Mountain News.
Both principals say they are looking forward to doing even better this school year for next year's rankings. You can see the top 10 list for elementary, middle, and high schools on our website. The ACLU is now asking the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn a Kentucky ban on gender-affirming care for minors. The U.S. Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals recently upheld the Kentucky ban. It was made law by the controversial Senate Bill 150 passed last legislative session. This case also involves a similar ban on essential health care for transgender youth in Tennessee. A similar law was struck down in Arkansas back in June. Today, the candidates for governor were busy talking to voters all over the state. Governor Andy Beshear took his bus tour to Lebanon, Springfield, Danville, Bardstown, Elizabethtown, and Louisville. He highlighted economic development in the state and urged potential voters to see his vision for an even brighter future. Meanwhile, Republican candidate Daniel Cameron took his bus tour to Shepherdsville, Campbellsville, Glasgow, Bowling Green, Hopkinsville, and Murray. Former UK swimmer Riley Gaines was at some of those stops. She made headlines after competing against a transgender swimmer in the NCAA championships. Cameron says he stands for Kentucky values. And we want to remind you, early voting for Kentuckians begins tomorrow and runs through Saturday. If you know you cannot make it to the polls next Tuesday, you can go to an early voting location to cast your ballot. Every registered voter is eligible for early voting. Visit govoteky.gov for more information on where early voting will take place in your county. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, as the Israel-Hamas war rages on, there are more concerns on college campuses about anti-Semitism.
Plus, we are tracking a warming trend for the rest of this week. Those details on the way after this break.